History almost remembers this night because one man made the wrong decision, except he didn't. Hundreds of miles away, something had already gone terribly wrong. No one knew it yet. The machines did. Every computer in the room agreed. America had just launched a nuclear attack. If they were right, millions of people could already be dead. Protocol required the warning to be reported immediately. A single phone call could start a nuclear war. The officer responsible for making that call was Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. He wasn't a politician or a battlefield commander. He was a military engineer who had spent years working with the Soviet Union's new satellite early warning system. In fact, he knew the system better than most people in the room because he had helped develop it. But the system wasn't operating in a calm world. By September 1983, the Cold War had stretched across nearly 4 decades. The United States and the Soviet Union had amassed enough nuclear weapons to destroy each other many times, and neither side could afford to assume the other wouldn't strike first. The greatest danger wasn't simply that a nuclear war might begin, it was that by the time you knew it had begun, it could already be too late. A ballistic missile doesn't take hours to cross the globe, it takes minutes. That meant waiting for explosions wasn't an option. If either nation hoped to respond before losing its military leadership, communication centers, or missile silos, they needed to know the moment a launch occurred. Detecting a nuclear attack had become just as important as preventing one. That impossible challenge sparked a technological race unlike anything the world had seen. The objective wasn't to build a weapon, it was to build time. Satellites capable of watching the Earth from space could detect the intense heat produced by a missile launch long before ground radar ever could. For the first time in history, it was possible to know an attack had begun while the missiles were still thousands of miles away. For the Soviet Union, that capability became the OCO early warning system. It represented one of the most advanced pieces of military technology ever created. But despite its sophistication, there was one thing it couldn't possess: experience. The OCO system wasn't watching for missiles, at least not directly. Instead, its satellites watched the Earth for something that happened first. The intense burst of infrared heat produced the moment a missile's engine ignited. That meant the Soviet Union no longer had to wait for ground radar to spot a missile already racing through the sky. For the first time, they could detect what appeared to be a launch almost the instant it happened, buying precious minutes that could mean the difference between responding or losing the opportunity entirely. It was a remarkable achievement, but it also represented a new way of seeing the world. The satellites never saw missiles. They interpreted evidence. They detected heat, compared it against everything they had been designed to recognize, and determined whether that they were seeing matched the signature of a nuclear launch. In theory, it was an extraordinary advantage. In practice, it depended on one assumption: that the evidence meant what the system believed it meant. On the night of September 26, 1983, the OCO system believed it had found exactly what it had been built to detect: a missile launch. A warning flashed across the command center. One American missile had been launched toward the Soviet Union. Protocol demanded the report be passed up the chain of command immediately. Then the warning came again. Within moments, the system reported 5 incoming missiles. With every new alert, its confidence grew stronger. To the OCO system, the evidence no longer suggested an attack. It confirmed one. Everything pointed to the same conclusion. The warning had been confirmed, the procedure was clear, and every second spent questioning it carried enormous risk. Petrov questioned it anyway. If the United States were launching a first strike, why only 5 missiles? A real nuclear attack would likely involve hundreds, launched together to overwhelm any chance of retaliation. Ground radar still saw nothing. The satellites were the only source reporting an attack. For Petrov, the warning wasn't the problem. The uncertainty was. He reported it as a false alarm. Hours passed. No missiles arrived. No explosions followed. Investigators eventually discovered what the satellite had actually seen. Under an extraordinarily rare alignment, sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds created infrared signatures that closely matched the heat produced by missile launches. The satellites had detected exactly what they were designed to detect. The system had simply interpreted the evidence as a nuclear attack. It was wrong. Petrov wasn't celebrated. He was questioned for not following protocol, and the incident remained classified for years. Only later would the world come to understand how significant that decision had been. The satellites did exactly what they were designed to do. They raised a warning. Everything that happened after that was never their responsibility. The most dangerous mistake isn't trusting technology. It's forgetting what technology was built to do. Thanks for being here today, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If there's something you want to see specifically in history that you'd like to experience with me, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Go ahead and subscribe and like for more. Please let me know.